Have you ever been in the midst of a hot argument with a loved one, and then you make a statement? Immediately after that, you feel as if you never did that. You feel like taking the whole world back to yourself. Oh yes, I've been there. And then my husband would always say, it is also not just about what you say, but how you say it. Welcome to Relationship Matters. My name is Dr. Ufoma Wanchuku. So last week we started a new series talking about, so this month we are going to be talking about conflict and how to resolve conflicts in relationships. And last week the focus was on identifying the root cause of conflict. If you have not watched that video, do check the description of this video to get the link, because that is a foundation. Today we are taking it a step ahead, and we're going to be looking at communication, how to de-escalate conflicts. We've already noted that conflicts are inevitable in relationships because of different perspectives and all that. But when they do occur, how do you de-escalate it? So today we're going to be looking at some things that will help you to ensure that it doesn't escalate, and the focus is on how you communicate. To start with, do you know that when you raise your voice, when you shout or when you yell, you activate the fight-flight mood, and then your heart rate begins to increase, and automatically listening shuts down? Are you aware that when your heartbeat increases and it exceeds 100 beats per minute, like I said, listening shuts down? You begin to be on the defensive. So you don't even listen to what the other person is saying. All you want to do is to defend yourself, because the fight-flight mode have been activated. No wonder the Bible also makes us understand that it is the fool that vents all his feelings, but the person that is wise holds back. Now, what are some of the phrases that can help you? There are some phrases that can help you in communicating in the midst of an argument or when there is conflict in a relationship that will help it not to escalate. So some de-escalating phrases that could help calm the situation would be something like saying, I value you more than this argument. In other words, you are letting the person know that no matter what it is, I am going to be careful what I say so that I do not spoil our relationship. Another statement could just be you letting the person know that because the atmosphere is tensed, it will be better if you give yourself some time. So nothing wrong with saying something like, I am triggered, can we talk later? Or you make statements that make the person understand that you are in touch with what he or she is saying. Say something like, I hear you say. In other words, you are trying to tell the person, you are trying to reflect back to the person what the person has said, to assure the person you are listening to him or her. In that case also, if what you reflected back to that person is not exactly what the person had in mind, the person is able to point back to you that no, that is not exactly what I was saying. So basically, these are phrases that will help you to calm the situation. Other statements could be things like, can we talk about this later? Can we just give ourselves a break? I want to understand you, but I am overwhelmed, so let's talk about this later. So these are some of the statements or phrases that can help you. Okay, so next we are going to be talking about the tools that will help you in de-escalating when there is a conflict. And the first tool is T for tone. So there are 3 T's I want to talk about, and the first T is the tone. So what you say is important, but how you say it is also very important. So you could say something like, come here, and you can also say, come here. The two statements have exactly the same words, but the tones are different. One of them sounds aggressive and the other one is calmer. So when there is conflict, it will be necessary for you to use the right tone to express whatever is in your mind. And that is why the timing, that is the second T, is also very important. So concerning timing, it is necessary for you to look out for the right time for you to express that feeling or discuss whatever the issue is. And there is an acronym called HALT, H-A-L-T, that will help you to identify the right time. H stands for when you are hungry, A stands for when you are angry, L stands for when you are lonely, and T stands for when you are tired. Or when you just know that the tension is high, you are really, really upset. Like I mentioned when we talked about the phrases that can help you, you could just give yourself a break. You know you are already triggered. It will be better for you to take a deep breath. Yes, calm down. You can count 1 to 10. You can decide to do the grounding technique that will make you to think about 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can taste, 1 thing you can feel. Before you finish thinking about all those things, the tension would have calmed down, to ensure that you are making that statement at the right time and using the right tone. And then the last T would be touch. If you can calm down and then lovingly touch that person, if the person is a partner, then it will also help to calm down the situation. The last segment we are going to be talking about, in this last segment we are going to be talking about listening in order to understand what that person is saying, what your partner is saying, instead of listening to respond. So if you are listening to understand what the person is saying, there would be empathy. You would pay attention. You put yourself in the person's shoe, get to understand the person's feeling, why the person is acting that way. But if you are listening just to let the person just finish, let me say my own, in that case, you are not going to pay attention to what the person is saying. You don't care about how the person feels. You just want to say what is in your mind. And then don't ever forget that it is always better to be wrong than to be right. So in a nutshell, please understand that communication would help you to ensure that the right communication will help you to ensure that conflicts do not escalate. Because conflict in relationship is inevitable, but escalation is optional. So you must apply the right communication tools to ensure it doesn't escalate. Have you been blessed by this? Have you subscribed to this channel? If not, what are you still waiting for? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share this video to your family, to your friends, including your enemies, because this will help them to relate better. Until our next edition, don't you ever forget that you deserve